un puñetazo y lo pongo a la altura de mis pelotas.
One punch, and I'm gonna put him at the height of my privates.
Hey, translate properly, dude. Come on, get your shit together.
He's gonna be at my balls height.
This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and tonight I'm going over UFC 298, Volkanovski versus Topuria. Fuck yeah, right? I am like hyped about this, not only because it's taking place near where I grew up in California, in Los Angeles. My parents live like 30 minutes away from the stadium in the Honda Center, repping the Angels. Even though the Angels kind of fucking suck, I got some personal beef with the Dodgers. Overall, though, exciting main event, right? Like I was gonna go to this fight, but then Buddy Jose's like, the Honda Center seats hurt my ass. So I'm like, ah, fuck it, whatever. Plus seats were ridiculously expensive, so I'm like, I'm not gonna spend $400 for nosebleeds. But Volkanovski versus Topuria, man, I love Volkanovski. I've become a member of the cult of Volkanovski, and I've been gay for Topuria for the longest time. So it's going to be a hard matchup for me to like break down and give an honest opinion because I'm really biased towards both guys, but I really have to make a prediction. But 12 bouts, I'm not thrilled about the undercard, really. Like I thought about like, oh, you know, fuck it, I'll just fly out there. I'll stay with my mom, go to the fights. The undercard was a little underwhelming. There's a lot of good fights, right? There's a main card opener that I'm excited to talk about because it's like a very interesting bout. But this entire card, awesome compared to last week's card, which we're about to talk about right now, the Hermanson versus Piper card. I went back and rewatched my video because I always do. I have to like upload it and shit. I was so underwhelmed by that card that I didn't want to talk about it. I'm like, I'm fucking boring. This video fucking sucks, so much so that I uploaded the wrong fucking video. I was pissed. I hated this card. And then literally as I'm watching it, I'm like, damn, I was right. I was right to be bored by it because it was a pretty shitty card. The way it started off was a bad sign. Marcos versus Arichi Lang. Marcos whipped this dude's ass. Like I didn't even watch most of the first round. I was in the bathroom. I was like, oh, whatever, I have time. And then all I see is Arichi Lang busted up. Didn't even go back to rewatch it. There was a interesting kick to the balls. That was Arichi Lang's fault. You don't jump up in the air as a man's trying to like kick you in the body. I would have awarded it to Marcos just because I'm a salty bastard. I'm going to count that as a win for Marcos, but Marcos whipped this boy's ass. I actually, 1 second. I had Marcos on a parlay, and then I backed out because I saw how big Arichi Lang was. And whatever reason, I pussied out because I'm like, oh no, all the skill and all the shit that I saw on tape, it doesn't matter because he's like 2 inches taller. So I bitched out of it. Either way, it panned out in my favor because it would have ruined a parlay for me, like a no contest push. It is what it is. Marcos whipped this boy's ass. Arichi Lang, he's a quitter. Hyder Emil utterly dominated Fernie Garcia. Like I knew he had it in him. Pissed me off that like Tapology lied to me, told me that Hyder was the dog. I was gonna go bet him as a dog the moment like the line was open at the casino. Another funny story: I went to the casino to bet Hyder Emil, and they didn't have any UFC listed, which blew my mind because like the week before they actually listed like the previous fights, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So they were trying to fuck me there. They were trying to keep me away from the plus 185 of Hyder Emil. Turns out the lines were flipped. Fernie Garcia was never going to be the dog or the favorite. That is, he got dominated. Like he landed a pretty good shot on Hyder, but you know, I've never seen Fernie beat up like that before. So Hyder, he's got it. He's got the it factor. He's 100% dog. So I'm super fun fighter to watch. So I didn't bet on him. I should have bet on him. I just kind of I didn't like the line just in case Fernie knocked him out. Fernie did clip him there at one point, but you know, it is what it is. As for Fernie, I really do hope they see. I'm stuck between. I don't want him to get cut because I think he's super fun to watch. Well, not really. Give him the right matchups and he will perform for you. Do not give him matchups where he's going to get dominated like this, right? Like, why are you giving him Rinya Nakamura, who's on this card? Funny enough, I'm not even really going to talk about that fight, but why are you giving him that guy? Why are you giving him dudes that are going to out wrestle him? Give him guys that are there to get knocked out and put on good shows, good fun fights. Like they need to start doing that with guys like Fernie. Don't just ruin this man's prospect. Have him go down to bare knuckle and he'll bust up some dudes and have good matches there. Why don't you do that here in the UFC? I'm just kind of simping for my boy. I like Fernie. It's just that he's never really evolved other than just being a boxer. Hyder, though, super excited to see that motherfucker in his chin. Bogdan Guskov, deservedly knocked out Pauga. I don't like Pauga. I thought he ruined the prospect of the under 1.5 of Jordan Wright. He took that away from us. He's the only man to not either get knocked out by Jordan Wright or knock out Jordan Wright under 1.5. So fuck this guy. He ruined that. Bogdan, had money on Bogdan. My first winning bet of the night. I was excited that he knocked him out that way. Beautiful, right? Bogdan, what really convinced me to bet him is that, like, I think he has a solid enough chin. He's been knocked out before, don't get me wrong, but he's got a solid enough chin to get hit by like a guy like Zach Paunga and then just return harder. So happy with that. Jeremiah Wells lost to Max Griffin. Let me put it to you this way. I would have given it to Wells if I was judging that fight. But also, if I was judging that fight, I could see myself spiting Jeremiah Wells for not doing shit. That fight was fucking boring, and deservedly so. I didn't care who won at that point. Like, I did have Wells in a parlay, but the way he fought, barely doing anything. He did drop Griffin in the first, but the last thing, as a judge sitting at cage side, yawning my ass off because neither man's doing anything, was Griffin on top of Jeremiah Wells, landing some pot shots. 10-9 Jeremiah, or 10-9 Max Griffin. It would have been Wells, but fuck him, right? Second round was Wells. Third round was Griffin. Fuck this fight. Marcin Prachnio versus Devin Clark. Prachnio wins by unanimous decision. I have never been so upset at a fighter than I was at Devin Clark in this fight, because, and I'm not saying this because I had money on him. I had like piddly shitty money on him, like a couple bucks on him. It wasn't a big deal on a parlay. I felt so offended because he had Prachnio death gassed and he's walking him down. And as he's walking him down, Prachnio, who again is huffing and puffing and going backwards, is landing on him consistently. And I'm like, are you fucking serious, Devin Clark? What are you doing? How are you not able to beat a gassed man? And even as he was gassed, Prachnio was still out voluming him and even out grappling him. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, Devin Clark. Go live in the mountains so you don't bother anybody. Marcin Prachnio, you know, he's going to get fucked up his next fight. It's just that he happened to fight the guy that is crazy. He was minus like 260 at one point, Devin Clark, or minus 220. And we expected him to wrestle him, to strike with him. Clark just was happy to be there, apparently, and not get finished. So props on Prachnio for winning. Terrible fight. Loma Lugbumi defeats Bruna Brazil. Bruna needs to go away as well. She does not utilize her reach. She doesn't utilize her size. She's just slow. She's awkward. This isn't Marnik Mann anymore, who it took her forever to finish. Granted, the girl, I forgot her name, the kickboxing girl that got brought in from the Contender Series to fight Marnik Mann, Marnik Mann was brought in short notice to fight her, also didn't finish her. The fact that neither woman is able to finish Marnik Mann, well, Bruna did, but it took her fucking forever. Loma just showed she's on a different level, small or not, whatever. Timmy Kwamba, I cannot believe they gave it a split decision for Timmy. Timmy lost that fight a clear 29-28. Oki handled him well. He, had a bit of a moment, I think, in the second round where he got a little bit out grappled, but it wasn't anything too special. Timmy is a 145er. Dana was right not to sign Timmy Kwamba. I have a personal beef against Timmy, not because I know him or he did anything. He didn't fuck my girl. I just didn't like his performance. I thought this is in the Contender Series, my bad. I didn't like his performance in the Contender Series. Yes, he cost me money. Maybe I'm salty about that. I didn't like it. It was kind of boring to me. Like, he struck fine. Decent enough boxer, kickboxer, decent enough grappler, but decent enough isn't good enough for the UFC. Oki, on the other hand, showed good striking, good composure, walked him down, started finding his shots, popped his head back a lot, did very well. I didn't think he was going to knock out Timmy, but he did well. He did fine. It's a good reason that Hadzovic pulled out, because Hadzovic would have been knocked out super early. And honestly, it would have really made a nice little refreshing palate cleanser for us, because this fucking card sucked ass. Prates defeated Trevin Giles. I'm not certain if the curse is that maybe Prates is too much of a slow starter, or that Trevin Giles is uber talented, but will eventually self-implode, because it either way, it both happened. I was not impressed with Perates. I was like, God damn it, he's getting outpointed by Giles. And then when he finally started letting the hands go, he caught him with that straight, I believe, left hand, knocked out Giles out cold completely. And it is a standard for Giles to find himself in a position where he gets finished, whether by submission or in this case by nasty knockout. I think the many years of him getting hit, and again, I keep saying that he's been knocked out so bad in the UFC. I mean, like one punch, head bounces off the canvas, or one punch rocks him, and then his head becomes a ping pong ball. Trevin Giles, dude, like, I think he is talented. It's just, if you're going to give him guys that can knock him out, these guys are going to eventually knock him out. I don't care how whack their striking is or how slow they are, they'll do it. Armen Petrosian loses to Rodolfo Vieira. I did bet Petrosian. I was pretty happy with the first minute of the fight. I'm like, he's kicking the leg. Oh, yeah, he's defending. Oh, it looks good. Then he gets taken down. And I'm like, okay, he's back up. Then he gets choked out. And I'm like, damn it. At least he tried faking. He didn't tap, though. Vieira, I like Vieira a lot. I'm a big fan of Vieira. It's just, there's ways to beat him. And I thought that Petrosian had that way to beat him. I was joking saying that, like, he was training with Dagestanis that end in EV instead of OEV, meaning that he sucks at wrestling because they're not training him the right way. Moving on, Michael Johnson defeats Darius Flowers. Another half-unit shot I had on Darius Flowers, right? First one was on Petrosian. Second underdog was Flowers. I was highly disappointed in Flowers. He started off looking like Conor McGregor, and then for whatever reason, forgot how to fight. Michael Johnson, props to him, was when you're getting out wrestled by Michael Johnson, there are some problems there. I don't know what Flowers is going to do because I cannot gauge him. I don't know what to think of him. At middleweight, when I see him fight, dude has power. He goes forward, fun to watch. He fucked up the weight cut, apparently. I don't know what to think of the guy. Like, everything that I saw of him that made me think it's a good idea to take a shot on him, I didn't see here, like, not an inch of it. And then maybe at the end, he tried to knock him out. At a certain point, he actually caught Michael Johnson with a flying knee. I think he went for like a triangle. But at that point, I'm like, dude, a little too late. Gregory Rodriguez, I had Gregory on a parlay with another man in the main event, their co-main. And easy work of Brett Tavares. I would have given it 30-27. Rodriguez had it gone to the decision, because it would have gone to the decision if it wasn't for RoboCop trying to take a man dead. Brad put up a decent enough fight. Like, I think RoboCop is finally coming into his own when it comes to, like, understanding not to go buck wild with the striking, especially when there's a threat. Like, he didn't think of Brad as a threat, but then Brad caught him with a right hand, kind of stunned Gregory, which scared the shit out of me. But Gregory kind of recovered a bit. He's like, okay. I even said to himself, like, yo, you are a RoboCop. That seemed to work. He did everything well. He actually barbarian bitch tossed Brad Tavares, got on top of him for a little bit in the first round. Great fight. And in the third round, man, I don't know what the equivalent is in Portuguese or in Brazil for what we call in, like, the Mexican community putazos, but that dude was just like one bitch punch. He just, like, same right arm, just big brothering him. It was awesome. Sucks to see Brad get knocked out. Like, Brad's a nice guy, but he'll, that's what he gets for being so handsome. I'm assuming that's what Gregory was like. You think you're so pretty. Ihor Pretoria defeats Robert Brysick. Oh, man. See, I bet Brysick at this point by inside the distance. I'm like, fuck it, it's going to happen, right? Like, Ihor did some really good stuff in that fight. Not that breakdancing Mortal Kombat's sweep kick. That shit was trash. But his ability to stifle Brysick, who needed to leap in. And let me get this clear, though. Brysick in that first round, before, like, the nut shots and the pokes or whatever, his pullback counters were fucking fast. I was very impressed by it. I was like, whoa, this guy's going to knock out Ihor in no time. But I think that time that Ihor took after the foul maybe reset him and calmed him down a bit. And then it kind of diminished Brysick's, like, momentum going forward. But Ihor did everything pretty well. He landed shots well. He hurt him in the second round. Second or third, I don't recall. I like the way he was really screwing up the distance of Brysick by just sticking his lead hand out, like blocking stuff with his lead hand. So that kind of shows me that he's kind of learning some stuff from Sean Strickland. Good performance from Ihor. He still missed weight though, but it makes me think that, you know, Coca-Cola is the best form of MMA for a base. So next bout, Dan Ige defeats Andre Fili. The whole time they're talking about like, oh, in practice, Andre Fili like got the better of Ige, and I'm thinking, bro, this talking about in training where Dan's not trying to murder you, or Dan's not going 100%, where Dan's probably wearing boxing gloves and not 4-ounce gloves, and then Fili's doing fine on the outside, pussyfooting, kicking him, and then wham, Dan Ige had to go see his pregnant wife, to the point I'm like, yo, Dan Ige's motto should be knock her up, knock him out, because that's what he keeps doing. Fuck Andre Fili, he got what he deserved, like for real. Like, I'm not a big fan when guys talk about training. Like sometimes if it's like, yo, let's try to sell a fight, but in this case, it's like it's a little like, yeah, I used to beat him up in training. I'm like, bro, he's not hitting you that hard. And then we saw what happens when he hits him that hard. Jack Hermanson, fraud check 2 weeks in a row, defeats Joe Pyfer. I am surprised at how well I called it, because like I didn't really tape it too much. I was super bored with this card. I'm like, yeah, Joe Pyfer's probably going to outswing himself, because he puts himself out of position sometimes. He throws too damn hard. Harder than Ngannou, my ass, bro. He hit Jack with some punches, kind of wobbled him at one point, but Jack's like, whatever. It must be like during Black History Month, bro. You're going to say that you hit harder than Ngannou? That Black History Month probably took away a couple points in that power from Joe Pyfer. But yeah, Joe slowed down. Joe got punched in the eye. He made a bunch of excuses. You know, I like Joe. I wanted him to win, but I feel as if he got into his head too much about being like the next big star and blah, blah, blah. There's a hashtag named after me. You can't go from living in like a basement with no money to then having a hashtag named after you and people being like, oh, you're the next big thing. Jack Hermanson humbled the boy. Jack did what Jack does. He just is better in those later rounds. He's better at putting on a pace. Like even at the end when he got him down with the takedown, it's like Joe was ineffective any longer. Leg kicks got him. The punches started to get him. Shit, Joe tried to get him in like a single leg, and then Jack kind of jumping kneed him as his leg was being held up. That's total like, fuck you, Joe Pyfer. And again, I don't dislike Joe. It's just you kind of knew. Maybe you didn't, maybe you did, but you can kind of see the writing on the wall. This shit happens a lot. Like you cannot have all these media obligations, all these cameras on you, and then fight a guy like Jack Hermanson who has gone 5 rounds, who knows how to deal with shit like this, who has lost before in big spots and learned from them. And Joe kind of bright-eyed coming in here and thinking he's going to just run through Jack. It ain't going to happen like that. So I want to see Joe Pyfer versus Roman Dolidze next. That's what I want. Give it to me. God damn it. I want it. But let's move on to the actual card at hand here. First fight of the night. Let's see. I always forget what weight class because who cares? Flyweight. Andrea KGB Lee versus Miranda Fear the Maverick. So Maverick is minus 205. I think she's gone down a bit in the price. Let me make sure. By the way, I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it until I can't. Miranda Maverick, fucking sweetheart. I like me some Miranda. Whoa. You know what's crazy? I just checked. No, never mind. I'm retarded. I'm looking at the totals. I was looking at Andrea Lee minus 330. I'm like, where the fuck is this line? But I'm looking at the over in 2.5 rounds. But yeah, it is roughly correct. We've got Andrea Lee plus 170 come back on Miranda Maverick minus 205. So you might be thinking, yo, like Miranda Maverick's back to being a huge favorite, 2-1 favorite. Last time that happened, it was against Jasmine Jasudavicius, and she kind of shit the bed. A lot of people were on Miranda Maverick saying, yo, she's the much better fighter, and she is. But she's a little small. She's 5'3", going against a giant mega wolf bitch in Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasmine's, she's got that grittiness to her that even though she may not be the more skilled girl, she's the more physical girl, and that's kind of like the spot to bet against Miranda Maverick. Miranda, though, in this case, is going to be the more skilled girl. I think she's going to be the more physical girl. And she's fighting Andrea Lee, who, on a 3-fight losing streak, I think she is hitting the end of her career. She's 35 years old. she is talented. She's always been talented. She's got kickboxing background, good striker. She's got good grappling off of her back. Terrible takedown defense. So, and Miranda's going to push her. Miranda's got some good striking. She's very sneaky, again, very strong, very physical. And I've always kind of liked that about Miranda Maverick. That's her biggest weapon, is pushing on a pace, because she trains in elevation. She's all hopped up on fucking pickle juice. So she's going to be able to take down Andrea Lee at will, get some top control. And then if Andrea somehow gets back up, threatens for arm bars, I think Miranda's going to be able to get out of that. I need to check my notes just to make sure what I got. The real way I can see Andrea Lee winning is if she denounces the Soviet Union, goes back to being an American cowgirl, and then maybe she has a chance to outpoint Miranda Maverick, just heaping from the outside. I don't think she's going to be able to get her wrestling going against Miranda. Her last performance against Natalia Silva, though, if you're looking at the images right now, that's Natalia Silva foot. So if you want to whack off to this video, you can. But she didn't do much. She just was too afraid. I don't know if she's going to still have that kind of PTSD going into this fight. Like, she barely did anything in that fight. So I'm thinking maybe that's just a one-off thing, but I don't like it. I don't like that a fighter does that, meaning that, like, she's got that Devin Clark in her, that she's going to brown bear the bed here. So I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick by decision. I think she's just going to be too physical. Just continuously rinse and repeat. She's going to get on the inside, throw elbows, inside leg kicks, and then go for takedowns, because Andrea's going to give them up. And then Andrea's chance is just to possibly try to get an armbar or a triangle, but Miranda's going to be too quick for that, too smart. So I'm going to go Miranda Maverick by a decision here. Next bout, we've got Val Woodburn. What is it? The Animal versus the Welsh gangster Oban Elliott. The odds have it in favor of Elliott, minus 290. Crazy, right? Versus Val Woodburn, plus 235. Plus 235 tells me that Val Woodburn sucks, right? What is it that he is such a huge underdog? A man who used to fight all the way up at 205, fighting a guy who used to fight at 155, meeting at 170. So Oban Elliott, let's talk about him first, right? Like, he is, to me, a solid fighter, a 100% solid Euro fighter. He's from Wales. Good striker, good kicks, good wrestling, good cardio, tough as nails, goes forward. He's got that, like, true gangster mentality. Like, if you think of a gangster, like, he's not going to stop until he gets his man, until he whacks his guy. If he was a gay gangster, not until he whacks off his guy. And in this case, he's fighting Val Woodburn, a guy who got knocked out by Bo Nickel pretty easily. So yeah, you're thinking Oban, better striker, he's going to come out here and just whip his ass. Not the case at all. Val Woodburn, he is not the better striker. He's not the better fighter. He's not more skilled than Oban Elliott, but by God, he is more physical than Oban Elliott. And the thing about Oban is that I view him like a Michael Bisping type. Like, he is very good. He's very basic. He's very skilled with the striking. Like, he does everything pretty well, but he's not exempt from getting his fucking head smashed. And Val Woodburn, he's a fast dude. He's dropping down. He's super jacked. To me, I think this is Val Woodburn's fight to win. Like, in the Contender Series, I'm going back and I'm watching that fight because I could not remember for the life of me who the hell is Oban Elliott. I'm like, is he some sort of, like, Middle Eastern dude living in Europe? No, he's just Oban Elliott. I remember thinking, like, there's something about this guy that I remember not liking. What was it? And I'm watching the fight, and he's doing everything really nicely. He's beating up, what's it, Kaki or whatever. What was his name? Kai Brito. He's beating up Brito. He's doing well. And then come that second round, Brito rocks his shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's kind of got a weird chin. Granted, he survived that, and come the third round, he put it on him and he won that fight. But I was like, this guy can get hit. He can get hurt. And he's been hurt. He got hurt by Michael Figlak at 155. Granted, he's never been put out before, but I feel as if Val Woodburn, if he clips him, because the best way, I kept thinking and repeating in my head, this fight reminds me a lot of Menefield versus Jacoby, where Jacoby is the more established kickboxer, but Menefield just has that power, right? And that could be the case here. That's how I see it. I could be wrong because I picked Jacoby to win that one. I thought he won it, but again, he got dropped. In this case, I can see Elliott working the jab, the kicks, but then Val Woodburn cracks him. And then with Val, like, he may be limited with his style and his skill set because, like, he's been fighting big dudes. This is the first time I'm going to see him fight at welterweight. If he makes weight, which I think he will, he looks in really good shape. I think he's just going to be too physical and too strong and hit too hard for Elliott. Like, Oban can definitely outpoint him, but you're telling me he's 3-1 over a guy that is bigger, stronger, and blacker than him? Bro, I got to take Woodburn here. I'm going to take him in the second round by a knockout. I don't think he should be that big of an underdog. I think you see him, you see his style, and you think, oh, yeah, of course, the more skilled fighter, the more technical striker is going to win. Doesn't work that way, especially knowing that Oban can get hurt, and he has been rocked a bit. I think Val, who has only been finished by an elite level guy in, say what you want, Bo Nickel, at a higher weight class, at 170, I don't think Oban has that kind of power to hurt him. If he does, and he takes care of business, fine, everything's good with the world. But I do think Val Woodburn has a really good chance here to knock out Elliott. I really, truly do. And I don't think it says here that Oban is 6 foot tall. I don't think he's 6 foot tall at all. I think he might be closer to like 5'10", 5'11". So I do think, even though Val Woodburn's kind of a short, stocky dude, he's a fucking fire hydrant. He is a welterweight version of William Knight, essentially, but not afraid to fight. So I'll go with Val Woodburn, round number 2. All right, next bout, we've got Josh Quinlan versus, ooh, that's scary, Harry Danny Barlow. He looks like he might be into some fireworks. Let's just go with that. Danny Barlow, he is currently minus 180 comeback on Josh Bushido Quinlan, plus 155. I should be ashamed of myself. Left hand to God, Danny Barlow, minus 180. I love that nickname. I picked him to win in the Contender Series strictly by that nickname. I bet some money on him. I'm driving home from Kansas City, and I'm just like, I'm putting some money on Left Hand to God. I don't know who he is. I don't give a fuck who he is. I love the nickname. He proved him right. Like, it was an awesome fight. The guy has an interesting style, and I don't truly know how to gauge this guy. He seems to be pretty legit in the MMA aspect of fighting, but primarily a striker with ungodly power in that left hand. He uses that left hand pretty well, switches stances well. In one fight, I saw him kind of whip the left hand like an uppercut, as like a lead uppercut, but it didn't truly, I don't even know what you would call like a bolo punch. He's pretty good with that left hand. That's like his signature weapon, just like Conor. But in his case, it's just, it's his primary weapon. That's all he's really got as like the number one power punch. As for Josh Quinlan, he last had his first UFC loss, first loss ever, against Trey Waters. And I picked against Quinlan because of the same reasons that I'm going to pick against him here against Danny Barlow. Josh Quinlan, I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's got a lot of potential. He is 31 years old, but I feel as if his overall game has been complete. Like, he's reached the max level of stats he can. He's got ridiculous power in the hands. He's got good wrestling. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's super strong, but I feel with his striking that he exposes himself way too much because he throws a lot into his punches, a lot of hooks, and he's going to be at a really, really bad reach disadvantage here. It's an 80-inch reach for Danny Barlow. Comeback for Josh Quinlan is 72. What happened to him in the last fight against Trey Waters? Waters just picked him apart from the outside, but Waters doesn't really have that power. Danny Barlow has that power. Now, plus 155 on Josh Quinlan against a guy who I cannot honestly tell you how good of a wrestler he is. Danny Barlow, I know he's done some like combat jiu-jitsu, and he even pulled a guard in his combat jiu-jitsu fight against like a Christian Eccles, which makes me think like, yo, this guy can wrestle. He can get back up. And I've seen a fight where he did get out wrestled. He survived a bad choke. He got back up and he pieced up the guy on the feet. I think Danny is just perfect to beat Josh Quinlan, right? But I understand that Josh has the tools to just rinse and repeat and take Danny Barlow down. But for how long, though? I don't trust his cardio. Some say that Josh Quinlan is strong. I say he might be a little too strong, if you know what I'm saying. There's a little issue here with this Contender Series fight where it's a no contest, and I wonder why that is, even though it says he knocked out his opponent. I'm just saying he might be on some stuff. But for Danny Barlow, all he really had to do this fight is practice getting back up and his takedown defense. And I think he'd be fine, because on the striking, he's going to be, his striking's not perfect. He can be a bit wild, but I do think that Danny is just leagues above Josh Quinlan when it comes to the more precise technical boxing. That left hand's going to be coming down the pipe. Josh is pretty damn durable. Like, he's eaten some punches, taken a lot of damage in the past, and then like gotten takedowns and won fights. But I think if Danny hits him pretty hard, we might see him wobble, and maybe he won't get pulled out, but there's a good chance they might stop the fight. But I am going to go with Danny Barlow by a decision. The main reason I go decision is that if the chin of Quinlan does hold up well, I think Danny is smart enough, and I could be wrong, man. I don't really know. Like, I've seen Danny and I've seen his tape, but there's just such limited info there for me to kind of gauge his overall skill set. I just do know that he is capable of getting back up and capable of winning a decision and capable of being very measured and not going buck wild. I know in the Contender Series fight, like, he did kind of throw an illegal knee at one point, or an illegal kick, which he got a little too wild there. He ended up getting the finish. As long as he doesn't go too crazy against Josh Quinlan, who, if he comes in reckless, he can put his lights out with a nasty hook. I do think it's going to go to a decision. So I'm going to go Danny Barlow by decision. All right, next bout. Man, this fight is a little interesting. We've got Mingyang Zhang versus Brenson Gorilla Ribiero, my bad. He kind of looks like a burrito. But the Mountain Tiger, that's Mingyang Zhang. It might be the year of the Tiger. Last week it was, previous weeks it was, what was his name? The Korean Tiger. Now we got the Mountain Tiger. Two animals going at it. Gorilla versus a Tiger. So we've got Zhang minus 140 come back on Ribiero plus 120. And let me check my notes, because this fucking fight. Let me be real. This is a kind of a low-level fight on paper. It's going to be a fun fight. One of these guys is getting knocked the fuck out. Both men have been knocked the fuck out. Ribiero, he's been taken down, got knocked out with ground and pound. I know he's been knocked out in the past. I just could not find that footage, but I did see the footage where he got taken down, got knocked out. Zhang, he lost to a guy whose record does not exist. He lost to Askar Marar. What the fuck was his name? That dude with the fake record. Askar something. Did I not write his last name down? Let's find out his last name, because it's bothering me. Askar Mazarov. Yeah, that bum. This dude has been knocked out fucking ass up, face down before. Zhang has. And I need to talk about his padded ass record. I think they both have padded records, but for damn sure Zhang has a super padded record. And I am telling you, man, this guy used to fight at heavyweight. He used to fight at heavyweight in the Chinese scene, fighting fat fucking midgets, knocking them out and then just quitting. Like, literally, like, you see some of these fights where the dude just goes for a takedown on him and he just pounds in his head and the guy just gives up. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And it's like, anytime both of these guys have fought like a higher level in competition, they ended up losing, except for Ribiero, who ended up fighting Lopez in the Contender Series and knocked him the fuck out. So he has the edge when it comes to like the better quality fighters that he's fought. But what's crazy about Zhang is that even though he's fought bums and he's lost to dudes that suck, he is the better prospect. Like, it's crazy how much better on paper he looks. Like, he's got better striking, in my opinion. He's much tighter with his boxing. The issue is that, although I do think he is just a better striker, is he the more effective striker? That can be debated, because Brenson, the dude is absolutely wild. they call him gorilla for a reason because he fights literally like a monkey. Like he just flings his punches. He does have a decent enough jab, but he's not super technical. Like he's got what we call in Spanish chango arms, which he's got long ass fucking arms. His reach, what is his reach? It's like 80 something. It's pretty significant and it's kind of scary. 81 inches. It's like almost his arms are too long. So he likes to stay at distance. And that's how he knocked out Lopez in the Contender Series. Bruno Lopez, he just kind of like flung a right hand at him and knocked him down and knocked him out. Zhang, I think he's much tighter with the boxing. He can come in, he throws elbows. The dude can actually even get takedowns. So despite him being a bum beater, he's pretty damn good. Like he actually has skills. He just hasn't beaten any top competition. He hasn't beaten anyone good. He just hasn't really fought anyone good. In the Contender Series, or the road to UFC, he beat the shit out of this George Tokos guy. He has a winning record, but he just battered him up. But the guy likes to go. He kind of considers himself like a weird Korean zombie, a Chinese zombie. Like he unnecessarily, not to say the zombie does this, because this is like, it's almost like he's trying to imitate him. Like the Great Value Korean zombie, the Chinese zombie, the Temu zombie, the Wish zombie. He goes after dudes and he puts himself in danger. Like he puts himself in these firefights, which it's a 50-50 chance he's going to get knocked out. Like, because they've both been knocked out. If he is smart, I think he can work the jab, get takedowns, just wear out Ribiero. He's very intimidating. This guy's big. He's 6'2". I like Zhang, but I don't like him enough to think that he's going to come out here and like not be stupid, because Ribiero, say what you want about the guy, and I will. He might knock this dude out, but he's definitely not the better fighter. So it's really tough. I think this is not going the distance. I think it's going to go under. I got to go with Zhang. Like I have to go with what I think is the better fighter, the better prospect. He's only 25 years old. If he comes in here smart, and I think he's been doing training in the US with the PI, if he comes in here smart and he's responsible and doesn't go crazy, I think he wins the fight. My biggest worry is that I think he believes in his chin so much that he doesn't feel danger, but he's going to feel some danger if Ribiero cracks him once, because he throws a ton of power with those strikes. Like he overswings sometimes. He's not technical whatsoever. Very unorthodox. I think that's all I got, really. Like it's a very interesting matchup where like this fight, I'd rather not be on either side. I'd rather just be the doesn't take the distance or the under, or fight ends in the first round, because neither guy is going to come out here and be like, fuck this, I'm going to wrestle. That'd be something hilarious, man. They're like, you know what? They're both thinking, this motherfucker thinks I'm going to come out and strike. Oh, doesn't he know where I'm doing? Like, they both come in here trying to wrestle. I'd be fucking pissed. But yeah, I got Zhang by knockout. I'm going to say the second round, because he has to be smart. Do not chase the knockout in the first round. Next bout, we've got Rinya Nakamura defeating Carlos Vera by submission in the second round. If you can look, I have here, the biggest claim to fame Carlos Vera has is that he got touched by Conor McGregor. That's pretty awesome. Rinya Nakamura is too physical. He's too good. Minus 850 for Rinya. Come back on. Oh my God, really? Carlos Pequeño? Pequeño means small or tiny. Vera, he is plus 540. The only way, anything can happen in MMA. The only way Carlos can win is if truly to God Nakamura takes him so not seriously that he is like drinking Coke and doing Coke off of like the girls off of Fremont Street in Vegas. Well, I guess he's not going to be in Vegas. All right, put it to you this way. Rinya Nakamura, it lands in Los Angeles, drives to Anaheim to look at the facilities in the Honda Center. It says, you know what? We're a few hours away from Vegas. Let's do some Coke. Go to Vegas. Let's do Coke off of the big tittied, flabby tittied girls off of Fremont Street, and then drive back with like 2 or 3 hours before my fight starts, and then we can do a warm-up. That's the only way Rinya loses this fight, because he won't take him seriously. Carlos, Taekwondo kind of background. He is a 11-3 guy. He's never been finished, I don't believe. I'm thinking he has been submitted. That's how little I care. Had he been fighting someone his level, I would have taken this a little bit more seriously, but this is not a fight in his level. He has been rear naked choked in the past. But other than that, never been knocked out. Rinya can really do it all. He can knock you out. He will take you down. He can submit you. He's just too physical. He's just too good. Vera lost to Brad Katona in the contenders, or Tough Enough. Brad just out wrestled him, and now he's fighting the best wrestler out of Japan in a long time, the best prospect out of Japan. You even look at the picture I have of him right now. That's him looking at the future saying, like, I'm fighting this motherfucker? Really? Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. He's got Vera, that is, he's got a decent enough guillotine attempt. Like, he can get submissions. I believe he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's going to get steamrolled. I've got Nakamura by submission second round. Don't even care. I don't even care if he beats his ass up in the first round or he knocks him out. Don't even care to even give you a real prediction. Just Nakamura is going to win. Next bout, we've got Marcos Rogerio Pezao de Lima versus Badman Justin Tafa. Tafa plus 125 comeback on de Lima is minus 150. Now, this fight, it's a heavyweight fight, so automatically, knockout city. Anyone can get knocked out. De Lima's never truly been knocked out other than his last fight where Black Beast, from what I was told, from what I read, broke Pezao's jaw, fucked him up, but never put him out. Pezao, he's 38 years old versus a 30-year-old Tafa. Pezao has more in his tool belt. He throws hard kicks. He throws hard hooks. Tafa's been knocked out before. Pezao can go for submissions. Like, he is truly the better fighter. He's only been finished by submission by big dudes, but I'm still picking against him. It's a weird feeling I'm getting, and it's hard to really give you an explanation because, like, everything I just said tells you that Pezao should win. Pezao should have won his last fight too, and see what happened. And that's kind of where I'm leaning. Not like, oh my God, he just got knocked out before, so obviously, Tafa's going to come in here and hit him once and knock him out. That's not the case, right? Tafa, I've been so critical on Justin Tafa for absolute years, and this is a guy, I'm telling you, I bet against him against oh my God, Jared Vandera. Granted, I am a moron, and I bet Jared Vandera almost every fucking time because it's like, this is the one, this is the next one, we're gonna do it, Jared, because Jared, Jared's Jared. Like, he finds a way to lose the fight, but Jared put on a striking clinic on him. And if you look who has Tafa beat, Harry Hunsucker, the great Harry Hunsucker, that is. On top of that, he missed weight at heavyweight in that fight. Parker Porter. I'm telling you, man, the UFC 300 main event should be Parker Porter versus Grandma Tafa, because I want to see that, like, bloodline of the Tafa family eradicate Parker Porter for years and years. And then Austin Lane. He knocked him out. But what I saw in that fight with Austin Lane, I saw the improvements of Justin Tafa. Tafa just walks you down. He puts on that pressure. He is confident in his hands. And I keep kind of thinking back to myself. I'm like, Tafa wants to be like Mark Hunt. And Mark Hunt was a guy that he lost a lot. He lost to guys that he, should have lost to, that should have taken him down, submitted him. Then he hit that corner. He turned that corner. Then he started knocking everybody the fuck out. Like, he started getting better takedown defense. He started making better reads. He was beating up bigger dudes, stronger dudes. And I feel like that's kind of the case with Justin. And I could be wrong, right? But I just feel as if he's making the right adjustments. Like, he is gauging distance better. He does have power in his hands. He kicks ridiculously hard. I want to see what he can do here as an underdog. I think because it is, number one, it's heavyweight. It's a 50-50 chance either man can go down. De Lima, I am concerned that because he got beat up so bad his last fight, that he might be kind of tentative here, where if Tafa, who I think he does have good hands, right? I think that if Tafa kind of lays a hard jab at De Lima, it might kind of scare him off. And this is just me. This is just my interpretation of the fight. If it's true that De Lima broke his jaw against Black Beast, I worry that maybe a punch from Tafa might actually put him out for the first time truly ever. He's being the younger guy. I just think realistically, either guy can get knocked out. I'm going to go with Tafa. I do feel like he's making those adjustments. And in this fight, this is the biggest fight, the most skilled guy in his career that he's fought in a long time. I think he's getting him in a right spot. So I'm going to take Justin Tafa to knock out De Lima in the first round. And again, like, I know I'm playing with fire here. I know, and I'm telling you, I'm 100% sure. I don't need you in the fucking comments telling me, but Marcos De Lima submitted world champions. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you right now, because things can change in an instant where the much better fighter gets Marlon Vera. Or Marlon Vera? No, Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes was better than a lot of the dudes he lost to. And see what happened to him. And I just get a feeling that's what's happening to De Lima. Like, after getting hit like that, he's going to start reacting poorly. So I'm going to go with Tafa by knockout first round. All right, this is the ladies prelim main event. Amanda Lemos minus 135 comeback on Mackenzie Dern plus 115. So how do we want to break this down? Because do we just want to go with the simple route of like, oh yeah, Mackenzie Dern, you know, she fucking lost. She got knocked out. She looked like fucking shit her last fight when she looked really good her fight before. And the Amanda Lemos, she just fought for the title. She's got nasty knockout power. She can submit you. She's just a better striker. You know, she's 36 years old, but you know, realistically, it doesn't really matter in this case. Like, if she is that much better and she can stuff takedowns of Mackenzie Dern, who is not known as a woman who has the ability to get you down. Her jiu-jitsu is next level, meaning that if she gets Lemos down by the grace of God, she has a very high chance of getting on top of her and finishing her, doing a lot of damage, because that's what Mackenzie does, right? Like, when she sets that pace and she's able to get you down by any means, either dropping you down with a big titty punch or, you know, somehow getting you to the ground with a big titty takedown, she gets the ball rolling. And then as the fight progresses, you know, it's going to be a little easier for her to get you down. In the fight that she lost recently, Dern, that is, against Jessica Andrade, there was a moment where she got Jessica down, but she got a little too ahead of herself. She started rushing things. Had she had controlled her on the ground, just laid on top of her and just chilled out a little bit, I think she would have been planting the seeds for her to get the victory either in that round or later. But she kind of rushed it. Jessica popped back up, and that was really it. Like, she had nothing else. She would blitz in with her chin up in the air. She would just go for pathetic takedowns. It was just brutal. There were moments where she was actually landing on Lemos, or I'm sorry, on Andrade, but she was just panicking. She was just super panicked that entire fight. She just, for whatever reason, the pressure got to her, and she got finished. You know, she got dropped. She got knocked out. It was bad. It was a very poor performance. Her being a big favorite. Now she's an underdog again against Amanda Lemos, a woman similar to Jessica Andrade. The thing about Lemos, though, that I worry about is that her ability to get back up from the ground against Zhang was a bit concerning. And I understand what I'm about to say, right? Zhang is a much better fighter than Mackenzie Dern. Zhang can actually get takedowns. Zhang is very physical. She's a smarter, stronger fighter. But that concerned me about Lemos, how easily she was able to, like, get on her back and not really do much. Say what you want about Mackenzie Dern. If she is to get on top of Amanda Lemos, she can dominate her, especially if we see that very vicious Mackenzie Dern again. Like, I'm not here to discredit Mackenzie. Even when she lost, and she lost me a parlay, I knew at that moment, I'm like, yo, something's not right with her. Like, clearly she wasn't training. Jason Perillo closed his gym. She had no gym. So I know it's still in her to come back out with that viciousness, with that intelligent technique. And she can do that against Amanda Lemos, right? Like, I feel as if Amanda had her moment with the championship title fight, and then she did not do well. And how good is her motivation, right? Like, how high is her motivation here? Because if it was like, yo, I just fought for the title, training camps are getting harder, I'm fighting Mackenzie Dern, oh yeah, I just got to stuff takedowns. I'm strong enough, or I'm wily enough, I'm athletic enough, I'll be able to stuff takedowns and just knock her ass around. What if a Mackenzie isn't going to accept that? What if Mackenzie's actually putting in work? Now, I've been seeing pictures of her, and realistically, to me, I think she's looking pretty happy, right? I want to see angry Mackenzie Dern, but I think she's got a new guy. She's training, God knows where. I couldn't find out specifically where she's training because I didn't want to put that much effort into looking. But just looking at the pictures of her, she's looking in good shape. She looks strong. The moment Mackenzie learns how to get proper takedowns, I think she's going to be a huge problem. She does have power in the punches. I think she's got good technique. Her defense, though, needs a lot of work. I just need her to get back into that mental state, right? I think the Angela Hill fight was a good spot for her where she displayed all of her skill. And I think she still has it in her. I just need her to be in the right headspace. I should have just said Mackenzie Dern's going to win because she's on a loss record. So if she lost her last fight, she's going to win this fight. I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern by submission in the second round. Yeah. It is what it is. I'm just going to go with Dern. I think that if she makes the right adjustments, she has got a very good chance here to just display the skill set that she had against Angela Hill. Angela Hill, arguably, some people say, not me, I would never say that she beat Lemos. And Dern just, oh my God, she utterly destroyed Angela Hill. And I think Mackenzie's got that in her still. That's what I want to see from her. I'm taking my shot with Mackenzie Dern to defeat Amanda Lemos in the second round by submission. All right, moving on. We've got the main card opener, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. Kopylov is taking this fight on short notice, right? And I did a ton of research on this fight, and it's a tough one. It's really, really tough. But I think I got an idea of what can happen, what might happen, and then what will happen. But they're all like interchangeable. But we've got Fluffy Hernandez minus 180, come back on Kopylov plus 150. So with Kopylov being the underdog here, he's on a 4-fight finish streak, every single one by TKO. Hernandez, how many did he finish here? He's got 3 finishes in his last 4. He couldn't finish Josh Fremd. Josh Fremd just recently got finished by Kopylov. The way he did it, we'll talk about later. But we know about Fluffy Hernandez. The guy is ridiculous with the pace, a mini Cain Velasquez. Pressure is what he's really known for these days. Pressure, wrestling, and cardio. The dude is very hittable, though, I've noticed. Going back to a lot of his UFC tape in the first round, I'm thinking to myself, like, I've got the memory of, like, dude, this guy just meat grinds everybody. But that's not the case. He actually meat grinds him second round, like not even second round, like late first round, second round, and then tends to get a finish in the third round. That's the MO for Fluffy Hernandez. He's got good cardio, nasty with the elbows. He's got the punching power to knock dudes out, but not like a ton of power to like hurt a guy like Roman Kopylov. I'll go with that. But he puts a lot of pace on dudes. He destroys guys with that pace. His takedowns aren't great, right? They're not the greatest takedowns. He doesn't have the best control, especially early. Like even Edmund Shabazian was able to like stuff his takedowns and fire back. There was even a moment where, very funny moment, like Edmund just kind of throws a bunch of strikes to him. You think that Fluffy got hurt. Fluffy kind of looks at him, gives him this sign. And he sticks his tongue out like, oh, you little bitch. He has wasted gas. Because that's what he likes. He likes dudes to either waste energy on him as he covers up. And also he likes to put that pressure on you. Like, because he goes for takedowns knowing that you're going to not either stuff them. Like if he gets it, he's happy with it, obviously. But if you stuff it, you're like, that's energy that I'm taking away from you. Kopylov, we fucking know for the longest time that he gets tired. His grappling's not great, but it's definitely improved. Now, how good is Fluffy's takedowns compared to Roman Kopylov's takedown defense? He's taken the fight on short notice, and he is a devastating striker. He's very fast twitch. And I'm going back and forth with this one because I'm like, yo, if Roman, he does great body work, right? He just finished Fremd with body shots. A nasty liver shot shut him off. Anthony Hernandez is, to me, known to get the old-fashioned tummy tickle. You hit him into the belly the right way, he will feel it. Like, he's been finished before. Maluco Perez tummy tucked him, and he didn't go down fully. Like, he definitely got hurt, but he fought back. That's one thing I'll give Anthony Hernandez, is that he will fight even though he's hurt. He's been hurt with punches before, and he comes back. The Iron Turtle hurt him. Iron Turtle was whipping his ass at one point, and then he finally just kind of went forward, and he ended up catching him in that nasty, like, it was a Armin guillotine transition to a anaconda or a Darce choke. But you go see the fight against, oh my God, Kevin Holland. Oh, excuse me. Kevin Holland hits him to the body. He goes straight down, gets finished with strikes. And I'm thinking, yo, maybe Edmund can do that. And I'm thinking maybe Edmund can tap him to the body. Instantly afterwards, I'm like, that ain't going to happen. The main reason for that not to happen is because Edmund's a gasser. Edmund's a kind of a moron. If you were looking at the Edmund fight and kind of comparing Edmund and Roman, they do have similarities, right? They're both long, powerful strikers. Just that Edmund is kind of dumb, because Edmund had a lot of success fending off takedowns against Anthony. He was landing well to the body. He was landing good shots, but then he engaged in the wrestling with Hernandez, which is like, why are you doing that? So if you had money on Edmund, I would be like furious for sure. Roman's not going to do that. So this makes this fight a lot more interesting to me, because Edmund is so fast twitch that I do think if he throws a nasty body kick, he has that chance to give Hernandez the tummy tickle, where he grabs himself. He may take a knee. He may take a oh my God, what the hell's his name? Ryan Garcia. He takes a knee, and that's where I'm worried the most, that if Kopylov goes after him, maybe Hernandez, who, you know, hurt or not, he is going to go for a takedown. I do think Roman has a really good chance to finish him in the first round. Just go balls to the walls. But that plays right into Anthony's hands, that if he doesn't finish him, Anthony will take over. And I do think Kopylov has gotten better. But when on the mat, I worry that he doesn't give up. He does fight. I feel as if he can't get back up once he's kind of accepted being on the bottom. He doesn't do anything that technical, but when he's like with his legs on the mat and stuffing takedowns, I think he can do a lot of good work there. But I do think eventually later on, he's going to get tired and Fluffy's going to take over, because he is a meat grinder. I swear, man. He goes after you, throws elbows. What he does well, what I like the most about Anthony is, like, he goes in kind of again, he pushes you against the cage. He goes in kind of tempting you to like stuff a takedown, but he comes in with elbows. Like, damn, it's just some nasty shit that he does, and I really like it. It's a really tough fight, but I am going to take that shot on Kopylov, because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. Not that I know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm fucking doing with this one. It is simple to just say Roman Kopylov round number 1, Anthony Hernandez round number 3. It's so hard. It really is so hard, because it's like they feed into each other's weaknesses, because I do think Fluffy, he hasn't been hit to the body since, and I think it's because he can take body shots when they are kind of like from slower people, and he's been fighting kind of slower people. Edmund didn't hit him too hard. Barrio wasn't really able to do much. He got hurt in that fight. Josh Friend, Goofy Giraffe, Rodolfo Vieira, not known as a striker. The last person to really hit him was a very fast twitch guy in Kevin Holland. Roman is that fast twitch kind of guy. He's very powerful. He attacks the body well. Fuck it. I'm going Roman Kopylov round number 1. Good old tummy tickle to the body. And then he finishes Hernandez, because I see the limitations for Hernandez. All right. I see that at one point he is going to get absolutely fucked in middleweight. There's going to be guys that are going to run through him, because his style isn't going to work, where his kind of mediocre takedowns aren't going to be as effective, where guys are just going to stuff him and he's going to be forced to strike with him. And in this case, I think Roman has enough takedown defense where he has to force Anthony to strike with him. I mean, yeah, he fought like a fraud in Punahele Soriano, but Punahele is strong and he was able to stuff those takedowns. Anthony's not that strong. He just is uber relentless. I'm going to take that shot. I will be putting money on both men. Don't get me wrong. Roman Kopylov, maybe money line, maybe round number 1, and then Anthony Hernandez round number 2, round number 3. Probably round number 3 because that's like his bread and butter. But God, I really like this fight. I'm interested to see how it plays out. Like if it ends up going the 3 rounds and it's like a total fuck you, where Roman Kopylov wins by a unanimous decision and Anthony just can't get his wrestling going, I'd be like, well, what the fuck just happened? But it's a great fight to start off the main card. Next bout, we've got, this one's a tough one for me. Like another fight that is really hard to truly break down because we don't know. There's certain things we don't know. But we've got Merab Dvalishvili versus triple champ here, Triple C, Henry Cejudo. Minus 190 for Dvalishvili. Come back on Henry Cejudo is plus 160. What's crazy is that Cejudo came in after multiple year layoff and fought Aljo, the former champion, and he was near pick'em against the former champion. And now he's fighting his, the former champion's butt buddy in Merab Dvalishvili, and he's a bigger underdog. And there's a good reason for it. As you can tell, Merab Dvalishvili had a brain transplant, so I feel as if Merab's going to be much more of a striker in this fight. So the thing about Merab is he should be the favorite here, 100%. Maybe 2-1. The reason for it is that this is a 3-round fight. Cejudo still, he still hasn't looked the same since coming back. He still got it, right? He proved it in the 5 rounds with Aljo, where he nearly beat Aljo. I hate to say it. I thought he lost the fight, but there's an argument to say and I believe this, man, like if a judge fucks up a card so bad that it would have swayed the favor into the loser's way, there's no really excusing that. Like you kind of stole that from Henry Cejudo. I forgot the judge who screwed him over, but one of the judges gave the 5th round to Aljo when that round was 100% Cejudo. Had he given that to Cejudo, Cejudo would be the champion right now. He would have maybe lost it to Sugar Sean. He might have retained it. Who knows? But he robbed that of us. But it's just crazy that he's a bigger dog. But it's understandable, right? It's a 3-round fight. Merab is a guy that puts on a ridiculous cardio pace. He's not going to slow down. And Henry, he's coming off of a loss. The thing about Henry is that, like, he's looking like a guy possessed. He is, like, firing Coach Eric Arbar because he's like, I don't want to get too complacent. He's scientifically breaking down everything about Merab. He's even said, like, there's certain thing Merab does that, like, I can exploit. And he's even calling Merab kind of easy work. But truly, I know he's just saying that. I know he's breaking him down. Merab, though, he's not a guy that changes up his style. What I've noticed about Merab, a certain thing that I've never given him credit for, is that he weaponizes not only his pace, but he weaponizes his output. That's truly what he's the best at. Not going for takedowns or getting takedowns or throwing punches. It's just mixing everything up. And what did I call it? I called it something fucking stupid. What was it? He has great point fighting activity. The dude throws everything. He's not technical with his punches. He just throws to throw, and it tends to land. He's not afraid to get taken down because he's got the cardio, he's got the power to get back up. Maybe not the best at getting up off of bottom, but I think his activity tends to put him up so ahead that, say, if you're trying to shoot on him, like if you got a single leg, he'll just throw a bunch of wonky ass punches, and he just gets ahead on guys. He's able to get takedowns. He's not always able to keep you down, but he is able to at least get takedowns or just get that activity going. Meaning the threat of the takedown is what's so impressive about Merab. He's got that cardio for days. It's an interesting matchup because it's an easy thing to score for a guy. Meaning that, like, in the last fight with Peter Yan was not able to do much. Merab really wasn't able to do much. He just kind of failed on takedowns. He did land strikes here and there, but the real focus of the fight was Merab failed on a shit ton of takedowns. But that's easy to score. It's easy to score because he's going forward. He's being aggressive. He might be failing on the takedown, but you don't score defense. The other guy is defending consistently. And that, again, it's like, yo, if I'm on a fight, if I'm scoring a fight as a judge and it's two guys just staring at each other and one guy consistently goes for takedowns, the other guy doesn't really do anything with it, doesn't stop it. He just is clinched up. He pushes away, but then the guy goes for another takedown again. You got to give it to the guy actually trying. As much as I fucking hate it, he's really good at that. He has a very friendly judge style. The other thing that he does very well is that he's constantly moving. And I don't want to necessarily say he's feinting because he does feint well, but what he does with his arms, like he's always moving his arms a lot and moving his head, his upper body, they kind of act like a pre-feint, meaning that like he pre-feints by moving his hands and shit. He doesn't actually move forward or feint. He just is moving his hands and arms and shit in his head, that it kind of throws you off because you think that's a feint. So you might react, but then he throws a kick to the legs, or he throws a side kick, or he throws a looping punch. He throws so much activity at guys that it acts as his defense and it acts as offense as well. So that's why I understand why he's a big favorite here, like nearly 2-1 against the former fucking champ who's 37. So why am I going to pick Henry Cejudo? Because I am picking Henry Cejudo. The reason is, number one, I'm simping for the man. Like if you see up there, right there, that's a signed Henry Cejudo glove. So I love Henry and I'm biased as fuck. But there's something about Henry that is mesmerizing to me, that like I cannot count him out absolutely ever. The guy is, to me, and I'm being like serious here, to me he is quite possibly truly one of the greatest MMA fighters I've ever fucking seen in my life. The way he's able to adjust, the way he's able to make reads, the way he's able to break down a fight, like he gives me this impression of like he just gets it. Like he may not be a guy who grew up boxing, but he just understands little things here and there. Like he just sees things. He's got a great mind for MMA. That's why people go and seek him out. Like he gets sought out by John Jones and these great athletes, Wiley Zhang, Figueiredo, because he just knows how to make people better. And I think losing that fight to Aljamain, he saw what he did wrong, and I think he can see what he can do better. And that's what I'm curious to see at plus 160. I understand he's older, but the man is absolutely athletic. And the thing is, he can easily get outpointed here. But although I like Merab's style, if you're wanting to consistently bet him to make money, because he will get you money, he's got a good chance to steal a decision here. I think Henry's another guy who understands the game of MMA, who understands how to sway the judges, meaning that, like, say Merab is just pitter-pattering, going, stuffing takedowns. Like, I think he's got a chance to maybe even take Cejudo down, but not keep him down. And by takedown, I mean like maybe get him to a knee. But Cejudo, he's going to be the smaller guy here. I think he's got a good chance to like stuff these takedowns. I know he can get takedowns on Merab. And I think one of the main focuses for Henry Cejudo, because I just saw a video of him talking to Kelvin Gastelum about Kelvin's fight with Sean Brady. He highlighted like, yo, he was brutally honest with him, which I really liked. I'm like, yo, we got to watch your fight because he kind of beat your ass. But he's like, he's very good at top control. And he's like, bro, top control is something that a lot of guys don't have, like control from the top position. That's something Merab doesn't really have. Like he can get top control on like weak ass wrestlers, but on like guys like Cody Stamann, he couldn't keep him down. Henry might try to do that to Merab because Cody was able to actually get top position on him, but Merab moved so damn much going for leg locks. I think Henry's smart enough to figure that out, get him down. So meaning like if Merab is going with that activity and then Henry shoots on him, I think he can get him down, maybe control him for a little bit. Maybe Merab gets back up and then Henry starts laying to the body, knees to the body. Like Henry's a smart fucking fighter. It's just that, like, of course I'm weary because he's getting older. How hungry is he? How's his body reacting? But the guy's always in great shape. He's a very intelligent guy. Like, even going back and watching the Aljo fight, like, the stuff he's able to do even then, like, he's able to land head kicks on Aljo. He's super athletic. It's just that I do think that fight gives people the wrong perception because, like, Aljo's super long. Henry is fighting a bigger guy here by, like, a few inches in height, but it's a much better suited style for Henry to maybe figure out. So I do think Henry is the kind of guy that not only can knock out Merab, because Merab's been hurt before, and Henry he just knows, right? He just knows how to find these punches, how to like trick you, like the way he kneed the shit out of Dominic Cruz and how he set it up. He broke it down and shit. I was like, that's absolutely beautiful. That was his prime. Had he never come back, I would still view him as the greatest ever, man. Even now, like if he loses this fight, I don't give a shit. He's the shit for me. He's one of the greatest. I'm stimping for the man hard, but I understand the risk. Merab can easily win this fight, but I also think Merab can easily lose a fight. And I'm telling you this, man, there's a good chance that Merab on the scorecards at home, you're like, oh yeah, 10-9 Merab, 10-9 Merab. Okay, 10-9 Henry. Henry Cejudo by split decision. Henry's that kind of fighter, man. I'm telling you, he's going to be fighting in California. Tons of Mexicans going to be there. Well, let me rephrase that. Tons of Mexican Americans are going to be there because I guess the Mexicans hate Henry Cejudo. I'm going to tell you, man, I think the crowd's going to be on Henry. There's a lot of factors there. If they drown out, if Henry gets all of his family from Arizona and puts them in the crowd, them screaming his name, I think Henry's that kind of guy. Yeah, I'm very, very excited about this one. Like, this is the shit that makes me wish I was going to the fight. But again, I ain't paying no $300 to be like, hey, go Henry. Fuck that. But no, I'm going Henry Cejudo. Bro, if he wins this fight, for sure, skips the line, fights the winner of O'Malley and Vera, which, he's going to fight O'Malley. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to this fight because, like, I want to see what Henry does. That is my biggest thing. Like, Henry, again, he can figure shit out. I want to see what he does. It's kind of like that episode of The Simpsons, like he's like, oh, that little Asian guy hasn't done anything. Like, it's going to be good. That's Henry. Like, what is he going to do? And you don't ever see what the guy does, but we know what Merab's going to do. He's going to push forward, be wonky, try to triple him up on strikes, but like, is Henry going to be able to retaliate? Is Henry going to be able to find an opening there? I'm taking a shot. Let's take a leap of faith. Like, I'm willing to be wrong about Henry. I'm even willing to know for a fact if someone were to tell me like, yo, Henry's hurt. Henry's hurt. He's not going to be able to stuff takedowns. He can't lift up his left arm. He can't stop punches. He can't block. And Merab's just going to, like, knowing that Merab's just going to outpoint him, I'll still fucking take Henry because I'm like, nah, he's tricking me. That's how much I fucking simp for Cejudo. So I'm willing to be wrong on this one. 100%. Like, I'll consider it a loss. Not because, like, I don't believe in Henry. It's because, like, I'm kind of being super biased. So I'm willing to lose here on Henry Cejudo. I just think there's ways that Henry can win this fight. I think in the clinch, he can blast the body. I think he's super hard to take down, super hard to hold down. Henry's super light on his feet. He's super fucking fast. Even at that age, I think he's got something for Merab. I just don't know what it is. Let's move on here. We've got Ian Machado versus Jeff Neal. Now, something off here. Like, I know that's not Jeff Neal. That's kind of racist. I have a guy that does my pictures here. Ian Machado's looking pretty good though. But yeah, Jeff Neal, that's not Jeff Neal. That's Baby Boy. But interesting fight here, right? There's a whole story behind Jeff Neal and Ian Machado, being that, like, they were supposed to fight before. Machado made the t-shirt with Jeff Neal's mugshot on it. Jeff Neal, I guess, got pulled over. He went to jail for some shit. I don't really remember. I think it was like he was speeding. Doesn't matter. Super disrespectful. Ian Machado is kind of like the heel of the UFC right now in the welterweight division. Like, he's not liked, and he's got a lot to prove in this fight. He has to beat Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal, on the other hand, he needs to get revenge for all the shit talk, right? Jeff Neal's coming off of a loss against Shavkat Rakhmonov, where Shavkat put him in that, I guess, a weird modified rear naked choke / bulldog choke, the Baby Boy here. Jeff Neal's good. Jeff Neal's absolutely great. He's got great boxing, great speed, power in the hands. But the cuck is going to prevail here. Machado, he is kind of known to, like, get kicked out. Like, if you don't know, like, back when he was fighting in Cage Warriors, in his fight before coming to the UFC, his coaches basically left him to, like, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, that's messed up. Why would they do that to this young Ian Machado, this poor Brazilian boy? Why would they do that to him? Well, I never knew why. And then he apparently got kicked out of the gym at the Renegade, Birmingham Renegade with Leon Edwards. Apparently someone knocked him out. Then he left Killcliff. So the dude doesn't have the best track record at like staying at gyms. Like, I don't know what it is. I truly don't know. I'd love to know. But now he's at Chute Box and he's like super happy there. He's learning Portuguese. He's adapting to his wife's culture because apparently, you know, that's what he does. Takes his whatever. Anyways, but the interesting thing about this fight is that I want to see Machado get knocked out really bad. I want Jeff Neal to get revenge. And it's kind of like with the WWE and UFC kind of being together, people who don't like WWE and are just like strictly UFC fans, they're like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. It's fake. But what they don't realize is that if you take the storyline aspect from like wrestling and put it into a fight, it makes it much better. And the thing is, there's a lot of storylines going on right now with Machado Gary. I am truly not interested in watching him fight because what I predict is going to happen, Machado is going to win this one by decision. He's going to pussyfoot out. Jeff Neal is kind of always known to not do well with guys who keep distance well. Machado, again, use footwork, throw kicks, high kicks, body kicks, run around. Maybe I predict actually Machado's going to go for takedowns here. Jeff Neal's got great takedowns, but he's not going to expect them, so he might get taken down. All I know is that Machado, I shouldn't disrespect the ex-husband, Machado isn't losing this fight because he can't lose this fight. And he won't put himself in any fucking danger because Jeff Neal is super durable. Jeff Neal hits ridiculously hard. But the storyline is we all want to see Jeff Neal knock him out. That's the main reason I'm interested in this fight, just to see if I'm wrong and just to see if Machado is going to get knocked out. That's it. There's nothing else. Like, is Jeff Neal going to get his revenge on him? Is he going to like knock him the fuck out and crotch chop him? You know, what's going to happen? Is Leon Edwards going to come in here and hit him with a chair? I don't know what's going to happen, but I am interested to see what happens with that progress of the storyline because the fight itself, I think, is going to be really boring. I think it's going to be Gary just doing what he did against Magny, being on the outside, kicking him from afar, maybe landing a head kick. There's a chance that Machado can knock him out, but Jeff Neal is like really durable. Jeff Neal, again, always, if you keep distance on him like Wonder Boy did, he can't get the punches going. Like, he's not the biggest dude. He's 5'11", and Machado's super long, and he's developed that style. And I think training at Chute Box is really going to benefit him here. I think he's going to be more confident in his overall skill set, where he might mix in takedowns. He may not get them, but I think he's strong enough and big enough to maybe eventually get one. So I'm going to go with Machado by a decision. But again, I just want to see how the storyline plays out. That's all I care about, because I do think this fight's going to be fucking boring. Moving on, we've got Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. Now, the images here are the worst ones for the guys, because it looks like Robert's blowing a dude and Paulo's getting plowed by another. Funny enough, two Africans are giving him the business here. But we've got the co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. Minus 220 for Whittaker, the Reaper, the Eraser, Paulo Costa, plus 180. Now, Paulo Costa's looking in phenomenal shape, right? He's looking ridiculously good. It won't be enough, though. I'm not going to spend much time on this one because you can use a narrative of like, oh, Robert got knocked out his last fight. That's not going to matter here against Paulo Costa. I do think Paulo is funny. I think Paulo's a great fighter. I think Paulo's awesome. I want Paulo to be the UFC middleweight champion of the world, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. You know, he fought Rockhold. I believe it was an elevation, so he got tired. But you shouldn't ever take a decision from Rockhold at this stage. You should take his, consciousness away from him. And Paulo couldn't do that. Paulo is uber talented, but I think I've seen his ceiling, right? I think he's a guy that maybe might stop fighting for a while. Robert Whittaker, he's 33 years old still. He's been the champion for a long time. He's fought the best in the world. He's lost to the best in the world. Yes, he got finished recently, but that was to the champion of the middleweight division, a guy who can put on a pace relentlessly and not only out grapple you in this case, apparently, but he's just too overpowered. Like literally, God damn it, Dricus du Plessis is too overpowered. Like he's got everything. He's got fucking everything. I kind of hope he's got a small penis. That way, at least give us something back. You know, you can't be that good looking, that jacked, that funny, that smart. Just give him a tiny dick. But for Robert Whittaker, it gets hard to not like Robert. He does everything right. Literally, he's a good family man. You like that. He's a fantastic fighter, obviously. Great cardio. Super humble guy. Unbelievably likable. He's a gamer. Paulo, super funny. But when it comes to their skill and how they match up, I think Robert Whittaker's just got him beat everywhere. I think he's going to be the faster guy. He maybe might get hurt by Paulo at one point because Paulo early is dangerous. But I think that Robert is going to make the proper adjustments. I think he's going to be too quick. And it's just like another rinse and repeat of like the Marvin Vettori fight. Like I did think Marvin had a chance to beat him, but I think a lot of people fall into that trap. Like you see the vulnerable lion in the wilderness and you think, yo, I'm a super handsome jacked lion with a funny Brazilian accent. I can come out here and whip his ass. Then you find out the lion still got it. And that's the thing with Robert Whittaker. He tends to always still have it. You see guys trying to come out here and finish him and beat him, and then they get embarrassed. Paulo, you know, again, I love the guy, but I think he's going to get tired. I think he's going to get outpointed. I think eventually there's a chance he can get knocked out, but I'm going with Robert Whittaker just to do what Robert Whittaker does, is just be phenomenal in spots like this where he's taking, I don't want to say a step down in competition, but it's not a step up or it's not a step side. It's not a guy that I would consider to be like his equal, at least for the time being, right? Like maybe Paulo did put in a shit ton of work. Maybe he changed up his style. But if the same old Paulo Costa shows up, I don't think he's got much for Robert Whittaker. So I'm going to go Whittaker by a decision. All right, main event of the evening. We've got Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus Ilia El Matador Topuria. Currently, we have it dead even. Pick them -110, -110. And I really am dreading picking a fight between these two because I have not decided who I think is going to win, because this fight is rough. This is a fight that determines, to me, not truly the level of how high we should rank Volkanovski, but like I think Volkanovski is quite possibly one of the greatest fighters and should be on like the Mount Rushmore of the GOATs, truly, like the featherweight GOAT. The guy has it all, right? It's just that he is getting older. He recently lost by knockout to a wrestler, but it's the things that he did that put him on that list, right? It doesn't matter that he lost to Islam twice. The fact that he went up in weight, smaller guy, had that performance the first time against Islam, puts him on the GOAT list, right? The fact that you can debate, like, yeah, dude, had he retired at that point, there'd be years and years of people debating. I'm like, yo, I thought he won that fight. Like, he got robbed, blah, 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 politics, mafia, whatever, Dagestani, whatever. I think that narrative would have been super strong because there's a good chance there. Like, if this was Pride rules, he wins that fucking fight cleanly because he did the more damage. Fucking, you know, there was only one man clinging for dear life at the end of that fight, and it was not Volkanovski. And what does he do after that? He does me a personal favor. I'm like, yo, Volk, thanks for giving me your number. Can you do me a favor? Can you fucking embarrass Yair Rodriguez for me? And he's like, no problem. Did that shit for me. Absolutely no problem. I get chills thinking about that night. He takes him down and pounds his ass out. If you don't know, I do not like Yair Rodriguez. Cannot wait for him to fight again because I got some special behind the scenes shit I got to share with you guys. But yeah, I was super happy. Like he made mincemeat of Yair Rodriguez, made tacos out of him, and then he got knocked out by Islam. The thing about that, obviously, short notice. I don't want to put too much stock in that because what's funny about that knockout, man, is that the head kick that landed on him, fuck. It landed even though Volkanovski did everything correctly. He had his hand up, but it just caught him at the top of the head at the perfect spot. and he got dropped and he got finished, which it sucked to see, but that is the risk you take when you are a great trying for higher greatness, higher planes of greatness. For Ilia Topuria, like I've been a fan of his for a long time. Like I've picked him to win. Shit, I've never picked against him. I've picked against Volkanovski because I was not a true believer in him. And I've always known, like, yeah, Topuria, this guy's going to run through this division. There might be some chances here, like with Bryce Mitchell. I'm like, Bryce could give him some issues because Bryce is kind of wiry, and he's been hit with head kicks before, and I'm worried that like maybe a head kick from Bryce and then Topuria just schoolyards his ass, like he bullies the shit out of him. And what he did to Josh Emmett was nothing short of amazing. Like he beat his ass for 5 rounds. He beat his ass so bad that deep down, me being a giant simp for Topuria, I was like, I kind of want to see Josh Emmett come back and win this fight. That's how bad he beat his ass. Like he made me swing in the favor of Josh Emmett. Skill for skill, though, this is a high level fight. The issue here, though, is that Topuria is a little limited in this fight. And I like to mention this when I'm breaking down fights. When I'm breaking down a fight, I break it down based off of the opponent, not everything that they do right and everything that they do wrong. Because like you're gonna get away with a lot of shit. And like for example, Vitor Petrino does a lot of shit wrong, but why am I gonna bring it up every time when it won't matter because the guy he's fighting isn't gonna exploit it? And here, I think Volk has a good chance to exploit a lot of what Ilia does. Ilia, great boxing. I mean, when he plants his feet, he throws these combinations. They're fantastic because you get the 1, the 2, and then you kind of expect the 1-2, and then the 3 comes afterwards. Like the guy can surprise dude. He's got a decent enough reach. The way he throws his punches, very Canelo-esque. As much as I don't like Canelo, I can at least acknowledge that he throws proper punches. His jiu-jitsu is great, right? Chokes, he's very good with the guillotines, the Darce chokes, the anacondas. His wrestling's good. He's a powerful guy. He's going to be a bigger dude here, just slightly. The issue is he plants his feet often, and Volkanovski is very good at leg kicking. Like, I worry that this could be a fight where Volkanovski, who is the better fighter, between the both of them, I think he's better striker, not the better boxer. I think Topuria's got the better boxing, just whatever. He's a better kickboxer, just the better overall striker, better wrestler, because I don't think Topuria is going to be able to hold down Volkanovski clear as fucking day if Islam couldn't do it. But matchups, styles makes fights. So maybe Ilia's got something. I'd be surprised if he can hold down Volkanovski. Truly surprised if he can. But better wrestler, I think the better cardio. He's had more 5-round experience. He's fought the better competition. But why is it a pick 'em? Why isn't Volkanovski minus 300 against Ilia Topuria? It is because he is getting older. And if you've seen the video of the skit that Alexander Volkanovski put out where he's like, oh, the over 35 curse, and he's like, he's an old man. Great fucking parody. God damn it. It was really fucking funny. Also, the woman who played his neighbor, hilarious. That fucking lady had me rolling. Called him, go back to your hexagon. I was fucking dying when she said that shit. Fighter boy. But yeah, Alexander's fucking awesome. But why is he minus 110 pick him? I think it is because he just recently got knocked out. He's fighting a power puncher. And the biggest worry I have, if betting, like I'm not betting this fight, I am terrified that if I go to hell or if I go to heaven, if I meet either of these guys, they're going to be pissed at me that I picked against them or that I bet against them, because I really do like both of these guys. My thought is, I think Volkanovski can definitely run away with this fight, get points in the bag, win rounds, attack the lead leg of Topuria, counter Topuria effectively, because Topuria does tend to overswing a lot. He gets in these like fits of rage almost where he's just throwing hard, and he does expose himself a bit. And I think if he's throwing that overhand right, I think Volkanovski can like catch the lead leg of Topuria and kind of drop him down. I think Volkanovski's going to try to grapple with Topuria, try to get him tired. I'm not saying that Topuria has a bad gas tank, but I do think that he he will be the more tired of the two. Biggest worry, though, is if Volkanovski, if this say does get extended and he gets a little high on the scorecards, Topuria is going to get more and more desperate, and I think that's when Topuria is going to be more and more dangerous, where he's going to start throwing everything into these punches, and then even if he blocks it, I think Alexander might get clipped. My thing is, truly, like, as a fan of both of these guys, if Volkanovski is to lose, I would love it to be Ilia Topuria. I would love it to be the guy to, like, take the mantle. Again, I bring up WWE. It's called doing the job. If you're going to fucking be one of the greatest of all fucking time, like the Undertaker, you're going to lose to a guy and make that guy look better. And this is like the spot. This isn't fucking pro wrestling, of course, but if it were to be the case where Alexander's going to lose in the next 1 or 2 fights, I'd rather it be Ilia Topuria. I'd rather it be him that takes that away from him, creates this new megastar. Fucking Ilia can speak 3 fucking languages, movie star good looks. He's got everything the UFC needs for him to be a star, right? For them to go to Europe, to go to Spain. Fucker speaks better English than Mackenzie Dern, apparently. It's just that there's a lot of openings there that Alexander the Great can take advantage of. And that truly is just the lack of diversity from Ilia. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to use his grappling against Volkanovski. I think it is Ilia needs to go in there and knock him out. What does Ilia have in store? You know, there's a significant age advantage for Ilia, who's 27 compared to the 35. What's that, 70? It's the fucking one. That's an 8-year. I'm an idiot. That's an 8-year age difference, right? After getting knocked out, I am so fucking worried that Ilia is gonna look like he's losing and then eventually dink him, because I think he is capable of that. And Ilia is promising that, like, yo, he's saying, like, I've done the work, I'm putting in the hard work, I'm gonna knock out Volkanovski. And if he does that, that's gonna propel him into fucking megastardom. Like, who is this young Ilia Topuria, El Matador? Like, for real though, undefeated, 15-0, just beat Alexander Volkanovski. It's like, fuck, man. Alexander is so hard to bet against, though. It's such a really, really hard fight to predict. Like, I even go back and think of the time where Volkanovski fought Chad Mendes, and not to say that Ilia is similar to Chad, but they are somewhat interchangeable in a way. You know, Ilia is much better, but Chad dropped Volkanovski. He ended up coming back. That was when he was much younger, and he ended up finishing Chad. I'm gonna take a shot on Ilia Topuria to win this one. I think he will knock him out in the second round. Again, not because I think he is the better skill for skill fighter, but because I think it's his time. I think it's his time that he's not going to be denied the championship. And if he loses this fight, it's not like he's going to go away. Like, he's only lost to the greatest featherweight of all time. It's just going to be a lot, you know, it's going to be a hard loss for him. And I think he will come back. And Volkanovski's going to maintain that GOAT status if he ends up winning this fight. But I don't want to unblemish my never picking against Ilia Topuria. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. It pains me to say, because, again, I love Alexander Volkanovski, but, like, I just get that odd feeling of Ilia Topuria catching him. Like, Ilia's a dog. He's got it in him. Like, he's been dropped himself. He's not capable of not getting finished himself. Doesn't really throw kicks. Alexander can throw kicks himself, like high kicks, but that's usually, like, Topuria gets hurt by, like, a much taller guy. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Alexander Volkanovski to relinquish that title to Ilia Topuria in the second round. Let me know what you think in the comments. Great main event. Literally, like, I am hyped for this fight. But yeah, Johnny TigerBomb MMA. See you next week.